Welcome, hero. Are you here for knowledge? That's all I have to offer. Knowledge of the most OP builds. Builds the devs will have to nerf to bring us back from the brink of immortality. Builds so powerful, even the gods will fear us, for we will strike them down and prove they're just immortal compared to us.
Hey everybody, it's Boardman21, and today's build is going to be a melee Void Knight using the skill Vengeance. And we're going to be running 5 skills as normal, and our 5 skills will be Ring of Shield, Lunge, Vengeance, Sigils of Hope, and Devouring Orb. For Ring of Shields, we're running 2 points in Reinforcement, 2 points in Healing Shields, 2 points in Improved Healing Shields, 1 point in Martyr Shields, and 5 points in Phalanx, along with 2 points in Bastion, 1 point in Amass for an extra shield, 2 points in Banding, and 3 points in Enduring Defense for the duration. As a Void Knight, you can't proc these when you get hit, so in order to have 100% uptime as long as they don't die, you're going to need the full duration. Then we have Lunge. Lunge we're using defensively, and just to kind of get out of trouble if we can, we've got 3 points into the Fray, 2 points in Blood Rush, 2 points in Tactician, 4 points in Forge On, 1 point in Unstoppable, which is really nice, and it makes it invincible while lunging, so if you find yourself losing health, just lunge towards some new enemies, gives you a little bit of time to recover. 4 points in Lunging Might for the added strength, and 4 points in Rallying Charge, which is a huge defensive boost considering it gives you 100% more elemental protections and void protection for about 4 seconds after you lunge. Then we have Vengeance. We got 1 point in Double Riposte, 5 points in Rapid Strikes, 5 points in Dark Duelist, you want the 100% global damage, 1 point in Executioner, and most importantly, the 6 points in Bolster for 36% global damage reduction for 2 seconds whenever you use Vengeance, which you're always going to be using it as a melee build, so you'll always have 36% damage deduction on top of what the skill already gives you as a 30% less damage taken whenever you're ripostaling. 2 points in Essence of the Revenge just for some extra void damage and melee damage. Whenever you do have the essences, you can stack up to 3 of those. For Sigils of Hope, we're running this as a defensive boost as well, and a little bit of offense, but not really. Mostly we're using it for the health regen and the armor. But we have 4 points in Empowering Sigils for a little bit of damage, just so that we can get the on-kill, because it's a very expensive kill. So we have 1 point in Last Witch. We have 2 points in Iron Sigils, 5 points in Enduring Hope, because you want the longest duration as possible, 1 for an extra maximum sigil, and then most importantly, because we are surviving a little bit off of health regen, you want the double health regen from sigils when we do have 4 active, which doesn't happen all the time. Maybe after a bunch of trash mobs, we are sitting at about 150 health regen, which is pretty nice. Then we have 2 points in Invigorate and 1 point in Faith, with 2 points in Unwavering Faith, just so that when we do take the big hits and we have a sigil active, we can make sure that we're healed during that process. And 1 point in Fervor just for some haste to run out of there, because after you take a huge hit, your first thing you're going to want to do is run away. And this build does work for kiting a little bit, but like I said, it is kind of a face smashing build. You're just getting into it and hoping you don't die. And then for Devouring Orb, which is a big part of your damage dealer. In fact, almost all of the damage you do is going to be from Devouring Orb, even though Vengeance does do alright. But because we're also stacking Ignite and Bleed hits, the orb is going to be, you get a bunch of them orbiting you, they're doing spells, and all of that counts as hits. So they're laying down a lot of Ignite and doing a lot of Void Rifts and other things for you. So we have 1 point in Dark Moon so that it will orbit around you. We're running 2 points in Void Adept to unlock the Cataclysm, which makes the orbs erupt, so when they run out of their duration, a bunch of orb little balls will kind of spurt out and kind of looks like cascading orb quite a bit, and they'll land on the ground and do an area damage. Those also count as hits, so those will also apply your Bleed and Ignite hit. And then this does reduce the duration, but you get that back with your 1 point in Hollow Orb for an increased duration. We have 2 points in Fleeting Orb for a little bit less duration, but the mana efficiency is definitely required, so you can put this on autocast, especially when you team that up with Orb Master to get your cooldown recovery speed plus 150%. The normal Devouring Orb cooldown is 4 seconds with 5 points in that. It is now 2 seconds. So you're going to be getting a lot of these, and they also echo. So there's a chance every time you cast it for it to echo and be recast. So there's times where I've seen up to 10 orbs going around me. We also have 1 point and Abyssal Emission, so that you can do Abyssal Orb, and then 5 points so that each one of those orbs every 1.5 seconds will be firing a spell. And what that does, each orb will be firing Abyssal Orb, which will hit enemies. So the Devouring Orb hits, the Abyssal Orb hits, and you'll have, it's just a bunch of hits that all proc the Ignite, so you're doing quite a bit of damage over time. Our damage is still kind of low because on our gear we went for defenses and stuff instead of damage. And speaking of the items, let's get into the items. We got our idols. I'm not really sure which idols to run because I don't know what works and what doesn't. So these whole increased damage for 4 seconds if you've cast Devouring Orb recently sound good and are good if they are actually increasing the damage, but I haven't really noticed the difference running them. I ran 4 of them and had about 200% increased damage. Didn't really make a difference, so we went for other things like bleed on hit and health regeneration. So our big one is a 35% chance to ignite while at high health. Then we have 1.5% of damage leeches health on hit, which is really nice, really refills your life. But the big thing on this one was the 59% increased armor. We were lacking in armor a little bit, and this put us right where we needed to be to get us above all the rest. As you can see, just sitting here, we're running 66 to 74% resistance on everything, which is pretty good. And then we have 10% chance to bleed with some additional void damage, another chance to bleed with necrotic protection, 9% chance to bleed on hit with void protection, and then the last two are health regen. This one's got some void damage on it, and this one's got some poison protection. Those are our idols. For weapons, we are running the Undisputed. We were doing a one-handed wand for the spell damage. We found that we're doing way more damage with the Undisputed Axe. The physical damage of how fast Vengeance is actually hitting is just way more powerful when using this. Plus, it gives you the overkill damage, leeches health, and for every bleeding enemy, which is all of them, that you hit, you'll get 10% increased physical damage, so you'll have the 200% physical damage almost at all times, which it's just more damage. And then I'm just going to hover over the items real quick. You can tell we put health regen on both the chest and the helm. We didn't put it on the gloves. We went for glancing blows so that we could get 100% of that. We went with vitality on the boots. We went with set health and set elemental protection, except for on the relic where we did vitality instead. But we do have set elemental on everything, along with 2 suffix protections as well. So we didn't do any added health on the bottom. And we went with armor and protections increase on everything: the belt, the chest, the helm, the shield. And that's why we're running a one-hander, is to get that 11% up to 20% increased armor protections on everything. And that is our gear. And then for passives, we're running 5 points in Gladiator for additional block chance, 1 point in counterattack. I'd like to have more in the Retaliation, we just didn't have enough points to put there. 2 points in Relentless, 5 points in Armor Clad, 2 points in Aegis of Renewal because we do have a 43% chance to block. So getting that 20 health on heal, and that 20 health is actually increased by any healing effectiveness you may or may not have. And then we have Forge Guard, 5 points in Forge Guard just so that we can unlock the Ring of Shields. We put it in block chance. 15 points in Paladin so that we could unlock both Smite and Sigils. We were running Smite for a while instead of Sigils, and then we had Sigils, and then we were running Smite instead of Lunge. But unfortunately, Smite, the only thing it was really good for was the attack speed, and we have enough attack speed already. We decided to try and go more defensive. Lunge offered more defenses, like the 100% increased elemental protections. Sigils gives you a bunch of health regen, so these two together just wasn't working, so we dropped Smite, and like you see now, we have Sigils and we have Lunge. Our 15 points in here is 4 points in Honor, 5 points in Defiance, 5 points in Valor, and 1 point in Divine Bolt. We were running a wand, so the Divine Bolt was nice for damage. We could get rid of that now if we wanted, and just put 1 point in anything else that you want. Probably Vitality with the healing effectiveness, because this is a double whammy. It gives you more protections, and when you block and get healed, this will actually increase that amount. And then our 55 points in Void Knight, we got 5 points in Devouring Blade, 8 points in Ruled Eater. You're definitely going to want this for the Health Leech. 10 points in Sorrow and Still. It's a nice increase in damage. 1 point in 1% critical strike multiplier per point in Void Knight, so we actually get 55% more critical strike multiplier. We don't crit a lot, but just for a point, it's just a nice little little boost when you do crit. The 10 points in Future Strike is definitely recommended. You're going to want that. That's a huge damage boost because everything hits, so everything's doing the future attack, and future attacks can echo, and it's just a disastrous mess. You'll see when we actually run this. 1 point in Woe, 3 points in Rot Grip, and this was just to unlock the Singular Purpose, which we were going to run for that extra void damage and void protection, but then we decided that block was much better for healing, so we didn't do it. We have 2 points in Eternal Form, 4 points in Void Aegis, which you're definitely going to want because it's 10% less damages, which is a multiplicative with other modifiers. It's almost always active. 2 points in Essence of the End, just to try and get some more Void Essences for more damage. Then we have for the Echoes, we have 3 points in Echoing Strikes, 5 points in Time Legion, and the massive one you're definitely going to want to get as soon as you can is the Avatar Regret for that 10% chance for melee attacks and void spells to be repeated by an Echo 1 second later, which is basically everything we're running. Devouring Orb is a void spell, and Vengeance is a melee skill. Our Lunge is a melee skill. It's a movement one, so it doesn't count, but you're not really using those ones. Sigils is a spell, but it's not void, so that one also won't be repeated. But your two main ones, Devouring Orb and Vengeance, are the ones that are going to be repeated. And as I can hover over here, you can see it just going nuts. We got orbs, we got shields, we got the explosion where all those things come out. We got void rifts going all over the place. And with that, let's go ahead and run some gameplay. We are low waves, only wave 5 right now. We did push this build earlier and we made it all the way to 194, so it's almost 200 waves viable, but we did make it to 190 plus. After about wave 150 you had to start kiting a little bit and look out for who's hitting you. But we can go ahead and get this started. I'll leave this up just so that you can see when we lunge where our resistances sit. You can see we're above 70 on almost everything. And then yeah, you can face smash with this, and we'll just let you have some gameplay.